As you learned, a student is legally deemed a chronic absentee when they've been absent from school for more than 10% of days within a school year. Whether or not a student's status as a chronic absentee will count against a school can depend on a number of factors. For example, if a student began the year at school number 1, was enrolled for 50 days, and absent for 12 of those days, the student's absence rate would be 24%, which you would calculate by dividing 12 days of absence by 50 days of enrollment. The student would be deemed a chronic absentee as they had missed more than 10% of the enrolled days. The student would also be a count against the school site's chronic absence rate. The student then moves to school number 2, where they're enrolled for 90 days. During those 90 days, a student is only absent 1 day, which is an impressive rate of 1.1%. The student's year-to-date enrollment is 140 days, of which the student had been absent 13 days. This puts the student's absence rate at 9.3%, and therefore the student is no longer considered a chronic absentee. Since the student was only absent 1.1% while enrolled, the student also does not count against the school's chronic absence rate. The move from school 1 to school 2 highlights an important point. Just because a student moves into a school as a chronic absentee does not mean that they will count against the school's chronic absence rate, since the school's rate is only based on the attendance while enrolled at the school site. However, whether a student is deemed a chronic absentee is calculated on the student's entire year's worth of enrollment across all schools attended. Now the student moves to school number 3. They're enrolled for 40 days and absent 4 of those days. School 3 absence rate is right at 10%. At the end of the year, the student has been enrolled for a total of 180 days and absent 17 days, which puts them at a 9.4% absence rate. The student does not end the year a chronic absentee. However, although the student isn't a chronic absentee, since they missed 10% of the days enrolled at school number 3, the student does count against the school's chronic absence rate. And when calculating the district's chronic absence rate, all enrollment across all school sites is considered. So using this example, although the student counted against 2 different school sites, they would not count against the district's chronic absence rate as they had not been absent 10% or more of their total of days enrolled.